PhD from MIT, right? I turned out fine. You present this to a bunch of, say, press folks, and they get really panicky and write nervous stories about people in trench coats. So this fellow, I think, just turned 13, and he's hiding behind this enormous. This is a screen capture actually from his video, and so it shoots, and you see his little dog run by and freak out and run away. But these things are big. So this is one of our top users, again, Mepane, and this is his Scheifel. And it's enormous and cumbersome, but cool in the sense, when you're thinking of it as open source hardware, he's gone through and says, I have the barrel style from this person's previously done weapon. I have the magazine style from this one, the trigger system from this one, the pump system. So he's integrating parts. This is the classic way to go about doing open source, right? And so he's referring back, referencing cross, and then things are publicly available. So here we even have release versions. And so you've got the version history. And in fact, this is the fellow who made the Scheifel, who said, they've been sort of self-regulating, saying, we don't want any more of these boring guns. We want really cool, innovative stuff. So he actually put up how to really make an awesome Kinect-based weapons instructable. 7 steps, lots of pictures, how to engage with the community and get some feedback. They've got a whole set of forum topics on, a whole set of forum topics about it too. So this is a ball machine that one of our users put up. This is the fellow that you saw hiding behind the enormous wheel. Yeah, so this is one of his other projects. I put a link in the forums to, there was a ball computer made out of Kinects that some students had put up at, I forget which college. But he saw that and said, oh, that's so cool. I can build a simple one of those. And this was up the next day. Oh, yes, also Kinect's transformers. I thought this was the coolest thing ever. These are not from kits. These actually transform, and he went through and built these from scratch. So here you have your transformer Kinect's version and regular version, but they actually do transform. This is insane. I was really impressed. So we're trying to get, apparently it's fairly hard to document these, and so we're trying to get this guy, Glitch, to put them up on the site proper. Right now he's just got a lot of pictures up, but they look awesome. Let's see. Right, so he's got, he's doing a video to test the difference between 2 different stop motion techniques. So in terms of documentation, this is getting kind of advanced. And here's a discussion about whether it's okay to put up Kinects versus Legos. So there's a discussion about which tool set you use. And here's another transformer just because it's awesome. And here's one of our users selling a Kinect's gun on eBay. But just in terms of taking something, sharing it, going through modification products. I took this shortly after he had put it up. I haven't actually, it's still up, probably, if you'd like to bid. Probably a good deal for the Kinects involved. But he's actually trying to sell a product. I think that's so cool. So again, just going through the way that these kids are using the site, it's really hard to do this. People are trying to do sustainable open source hardware for products for adults, and it fails. And these guys have been going for something like a good solid year now. And we keep thinking they've maxed it out. And then they come up with something new like Kinect's transformers. And they're really just blowing my mind. So at any rate, they're doing the recognition part on their own. We're also enabling them to put their stuff up on the web so that they can get a large enough community to feedback. Because Kinects has some websites where you can post a final picture, but I guess that doesn't really feed back into the desire to really show everybody how you did it. And they don't have forums and whatnot like you do on our site. So motivation, recognition, and then people like Mepane who put up the Instructable for how do you interact with our community, are doing a lot of the community maintenance. You have these awesome threads, 800 messages long, where they discuss their gun designs. So again, suitable tools, and we're providing some of those. But mostly this is these kids just doing it on their own. This is what they'd be doing anyway in extremely isolated situations around the world. But now they finally have somebody to talk to about how insanely cool this hobby is that they hide in their basement with, which I can completely get behind. So that's all I've got in terms of prepared stuff. I've also brought two of our major users who have been interning with us, and figured that we could ask them a couple questions about how they use this site in general, and also how that fits into their greater web usage, because you guys are probably interested in that since you're all building that type of tool. And I'm happy to answer. I do community management. Basically, I do anything that's not coding, right? So I do a lot of community management on the site, and I'm also happy to answer any questions about that or how we run contests or whatever. So before we go on, anybody have any questions? Yes?
Kind of one of the dumb ones. How long has Instructables been around, and what prompted all this to come to life?
Okay, so I guess I should have given that bit of background at the beginning. So Instructables is a project that came out of Squid Labs. Squid Labs was founded by a collection of my friends from MIT. I had a real job at this point. But a collection of my friends from MIT graduated and said, we don't want to stay in academia, let's go do something fun, once they got their PhDs. So they all came to San Francisco and founded Squid Labs, which was a design and consulting firm, took in the consulting work to essentially fund the internal projects. And then when the projects got legs, they spun them out. So Instructables was something that was started for internal documentation purposes. Things like, everyone at Squid Labs was a kite surfer. And so they put up their designs for homemade kite surfing kites, homemade plywood kite surfing boards, and we're putting them up on, what was the name of that one? zeroprestige.org, which doesn't really exist anymore, because now we have Instructables, because we were getting all sorts of feedback saying, can you put up your CAD files? Well, yeah, but then can we have a discussion about it? Yeah, but then I have to do all this work on my personal website. So we decided that there was clearly a useful purpose served here, put this up, and then it launched from within Squid Labs with maybe about 30 projects based on things like LEDs and bicycles and kites in August of 2005, and then spun out into its own company about 6 or 9 months later. So we've been a proper company for about a year. Yes?
So as a long-time user of construction toys of various forms, I'm a little disappointed by the mechanical strength limitations of a lot of the toys that are available today. Mm-hmm. Specifically, you spend a lot of your design energy trying to figure out how to make it strong enough. You can't really build a trebuchet out of Legos, for example, right?
However, you can do it out of 80-20 structural aluminum, which is the equivalent toy for adults.
Sure. So what I'm wondering, though, is are there any good construction toys that are really strong, that you could really build some really robust inventions from?
I'm going to say that they're probably intentionally left weaker than they could be, because you can do a fair amount with, say, plastic parts like K'NEX, and I think that there's an intent to rein that in a little bit. Also, plastic is cheap, but I think that's where we are right now. And if you want the better toys, you really have to move on to some of the ones that are aimed at adults. I'm sorry, engineering tools.
Right.
PVC air cannon can be good.
Right. PVC and structural aluminum get you a long way. Anybody else? What's up?
A lot of the examples you showed were made out of K'NEX,
Mm-hmm.
Lego. Does anyone have any sort of
electronic hardware, so to speak, schematics and
Yes, actually. So one of my friends, Limor Fried, runs Adafruit, which is all open source hardware projects. She sells kits, and then you can mod her kits. And I should, since the set that I showed you was a fairly small one because it was designed for 5-minute speed talk. But Limor's stuff is what you're talking about. She sells kits for a synthesizer, for, she's even got things like a dig button.
Go back to your first page, because there are plenty of examples on the website.
Yeah. Well, so these are, yeah, actually. Let's, if I can successfully, I don't have a Mac. Where's the doc? Yes. But that qualifies more readily as open source hardware because it's easy to get the kit. And then you can take the kit and you can mod the kit. For many of the other projects that are available on the site, it involves things like go find your nearest dumpster, dive. And maybe you can get your hands on the parts, maybe you can't. One of the things that we're trying to do is make it easier for people to gain access to the plans. Once you gain access to the plans, it's a question of how simple are the materials, how simple are the tools you need. And so while some of the projects that we've got up are aspirational in nature, because there are some that say things like, take this sheet of aluminum and put it on your water jet. We have a water jet. Most people don't have a water jet. We understand how that works. But then you also see things like, we recently ran a contest where we gave away a laser cutter. And the winning entry was how to turn a Dremel tool into a 3-axis CNC machine. And yeah, at first glance, I thought, well, that's kind of boring. But that's because I have access to a water jet and a CNC machine. And if you have a Dremel and none of these other things, then all of a sudden that starts looking really exciting. Let me see here if I can find you. Let me see if I can find you that one. So as you can see here, we have multiple 3-axis CNC machines. This one here, Stuart McFarlane's, is the one that was that won him a laser cutter. But it is in fact a Dremel strapped in. But again, that's the idea of trying to democratize innovation through sharing designs for tools. So, and let me see if I can pull up. Let's see if I can pull up Ada's stuff. If somebody wants to ask me more questions, I can keep talking while I roam around through the internet. All right. Right. So she's got, these are all kits, and she sells her, well, except for the dyeing your hair. But she's got more kits on her own site. We have here Minty Boost is a battery-powered USB charger that apparently does fantastically. I really like these. These are a big hit at Burning Man. So again, these are programmable kits that you can then go hack. Does anybody else want to see any particular videos or the guns? All right, we can show you gun videos. Whoop. Oh, sure. Yeah, they've got soundtracks for this. Oh, also, I've got a collection of robot stickers. If anybody wants one of those before they head off at the end, don't let me forget about those. Oops. And I apparently can't type. Ah, perfect space duck. Okay. And we'll see.
All right, fire. Fire.
So let me see if I can find you Trainman 2000s. But there's some pretty good ones on here. Any other questions while I'm looking this up?
Sure. How many visitors do you get, and how are the Google ads doing for you?
Well, we honestly haven't paid a huge amount of attention to our ads right now, in the sense that we kind of just set up Google ads and let them run. But we get, I think in the last month, we had about 17 million page views and maybe 1.5 million uniques, something in that range. Yeah, the Google ad, the contextual ads are working reasonably well. We'd really like to have the most relevant ads possible because I'm not a big fan of ads, and I really only want to see something up there that I find useful. Here we go. But right now, we're mainly viewing ourselves as building a fraction of a web or of a company, working on the site itself. So the thing that I find exceptionally cool about this is that not only is this providing an excuse for showing off the toy, it means that this kid's learned video editing. I mean, he's playing with every single fade he can get his hands on in super slow-mo, but it's actually getting into basically all of the associated toys. This is what little proto-engineers do, right? So, any other questions at the moment? Yes.
How does that not liable means a category work out for you?
Well, so it does a couple of things. It means that it's a little bit of a joke, right? And but it also implies that we're taking it a little bit more seriously than pat you on the head and you know, rubber band gun category. There's a lot of stuff in Not Liable that's not projectile weapons, but basically anything that is potentially dangerous goes in that category. The one that I put up this morning about preparing a roadkill snake went in food and Not Liable, for example. basically the idea is to, whoop, can't spell my own name. But basically the idea is to, oh yeah, here we go. Food and not liable. So, there we go.
It's a quarter-watt laser that was on the first page.
That one's also a not liable. I mean, obviously that doesn't confer any additional defense against liability, but it's a good signal of intent for I'm going to give you a list of safety precautions and no, really, you should pay attention to them. So I say things like, you should know the cause of death and the time of death for your roadkill if you're going to eat roadkill. You know, I went through and I checked and made sure that it had a tire tread mark on it. So even though we had seen it die, we went and checked to make sure that there was a tire tread mark on it. Actually, are people okay with potentially gory pictures? Okay. All right, so yeah, there we go. Oh. There we go. That is a tire tread mark. You can see this is what normal dead snake, not healthy dead snake, looks like. But then there was a tire tread mark about this wide. So I went, okay, if I didn't see that, I would potentially worry that maybe it was a snake who had eaten a poisoned rat or something and died by the side of the road. But at that point, you have a second. So usually if something goes in the not liable category, that means be a little careful. There's something there, whether that means don't burn eyes out with lasers, which hopefully is something people really adhere to don't eat poisonous roadkill. But we're really trying to work on that category and make sure people understand it, because it's kind of a fuzzy thing. Any more questions? Yeah.
Maybe you could have these guys design well with their different content.
Sure. Hang on, we've got a mic. Stand up, stand up. So this is Billy. He's tetranitrate on the site, and that was a nice picture of Billy breathing fire you saw. And there's a little bit of a focus to his project. Which one's your favorite?
It might be the fire-breathing one, just because of the great picture that I was able to get from the video for it. It's me standing behind like a 15-foot-long fireball that I'm spitting out in my backyard in Queens. I have the giant match, which I put up recently.
Oh, there's a nice video with that. I'll go play that.
It's one of my newer favorite ones.
Yeah, this had a nice little run on Boing Boing, I think. Okay, so we run a show and tell down at Instructables, and this is what Billy was his demonstration at the last show and tell. So if anybody wants to be on our mailing list, we do bad movie nights too. We're apparently going to host a mob movie drive-in at our place on Saturday night. So I have a mailing list for that kind of thing if you're excited to join. Just drop me your email address. Okay, so we've got some posing.
Here's the people. Gross, gross, yuck. Okay, here's more people. Here's more people. Okay.
So we're out on the old naval base at the north end of Alameda. That's San Francisco in the background.
I wasn't expecting it to be that big of a flame.
As you can see, we have appropriate safety precautions, heavy gloves. And now you're lighting flash powder? No.
Some gunpowder in the bowl on the right, smoke powder in the middle, and some more black powder on the left. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's an 8-foot-long match. All right.
So just in terms of sizing, I think that there you go. You can see how tall Billy is. That's standing on the ground. Yeah. So that's what we do during show and tells. How about Josh?
I don't know. Well, the project that I've been working on for like the longest amount of time is a cotton candy machine. I've been working on that for about 2 or 3 years. First version was with a soup can and using sterno as a heat source. That resulted in a huge flaming plastic mess all over my driveway and lawn. But yeah, it's one of my favorite ones. I did this last year. It's working, although I'm going to make another version next year in school. But yeah, it's a pretty awesome machine. And
There's not a video on this one.
yeah, there's no video because I broke it. But I guess all of them are my favorite Instructables. I put so much time and effort into all of them. Yeah, Writer Draw with Light, that's a great one. So I found this website, Pika. They do animations. So I figured out how to draw with light. It's just long time-lapse exposures, and use a flashlight to draw. And I brought my camera to Science Olympiad, and we all had a party and started drawing stuff with light, people trying to make smiley faces. You know, and it's a really cool way to just do really cool stuff. I mean, and then eventually, you know, I started taking pictures on the airplanes, and I started, the guy from Pika actually came up to Instructables, joined, and wrote to me right there, Takeshi Nagata. And yeah, so that's really cool. When you get people from I think he's from Japan. When you get people from across the world telling you, all right, let's get together and, you know, do something, that's really cool. My other Instructable, the LED beating heart t-shirt, a guy from Sweden, I believe, just recreated it on a PCB board and gave it to his girlfriend. And she told him to tell me that she thanks me for coming up with the project. But yeah, this guy, Avin, if you scroll down, there's actually pictures, I think.
Yeah, one of the things that I think is completely awesome is when I discover somebody's made one of my projects that I never thought they would do. Like I have an LED throwy rat, which is a taxidermied rat with glowing LED eyes, rare earth magnets on its sides, and you know, a little switch button on its heart. And someone actually came up to me at the last Maker Faire and said, yeah, I made it. And I said, no, you didn't. He said, well, yeah, and actually, here's the problem I had with the fur. Wow, you did. I don't believe this. You know, put up pictures. So he hasn't done that just yet. So I'm not positive, but who would come up and tell me that and also know about, you know, fur problems unless you really tried it. But I never thought someone was going to do that one. And actually, the LED throwy rat and the mouse, I've been published in FHM twice. I've had 2 FHM photo spreads involving, you know, like my hands and mice. So FHM Netherlands and Germany, I think, for mouse taxidermy, which I think is completely weird, but cool. So and then some of the stuff we end up cross-pollinating with Make Magazine a lot. So a lot of people from Squid Labs write for it, and then they pick up stories from Instructables and vice versa. So that's kind of that's been kind of fun. Let's see. Yes.
I haven't actually looked at Instructables, but I've looked at Activate a lot. I find that often the comments just generate into pages of like, help me, or you know, how do I do this type of thing. I guess how do you prevent that, make it reduce that?
Well, I don't know if help me is a degeneration. I think that's actually beneficial. And we end up with an awful lot of things like that. We've got a forum section that is literally devoted to, I'm trying to build X. Help. You know, I'm trying to, you know, I can pull that up. But we actually try and keep a pretty close eye on things. And so when things like discussions of the ethical nature of mouse taxidermy degenerate into discussions of American foreign policy, which they always do for reasons that I don't understand. So yeah, we're looking for some more interns since these guys are going away. But first post, I need help. Talking about, here's a discussion of K'NEX or Lego, favorite K'NEX guns, and then also things like, I'm on holiday. This is a set of K'NEX builders. A discussion of how do you design your K'NEX guns. You can see who has a lot of time to spend online at the end of the summer, right before school starts. Ooh, yes, pictures of your K'NEX injuries. But at any rate, so there's a lot of discussion. Joshua, in fact, on the way up was talking about how he uses the forums pretty heavily. You want to talk about that a little bit?
So in my recent projects, I'm having a lot of trouble doing all the electrical engineering. So I post on the forums. I ask, all right, so I did this. Why isn't it working? Or I did this and it's working, but just not in the right way. How do I fix this? And I get, responses. I did something stupid. I'm using the wrong potentiometer. And there's all these guys like, you see Kiteman. See, he's a smart, he's like, I think
he's actually a high school science teacher in the UK.
Right. So Nacho Mama, Kiteman, Las Vegas, these are all like guys that know what they're talking about. And they'll help you. And, they've just, like, yeah, the most valuable information that you can get is while you're building it. Because after you've built it, I mean, it's like, okay, I built this. You could have done this in a different way. Rebuild the entire thing? No. When in the process, you can just change something easily. You don't have to rebuild the entire thing, which is why I find the forums like really, really useful. So.
Oh, this is just random since I saw it. We put up all of our logos for people to play with. And so our Instructables robot has gotten, ooh, I hadn't seen the ninja. That's awesome. But sort of in the spirit of open sourcing as much as we can. Unfortunately, we're on a proprietary system, but we try and hand out as much as we can. But everybody's been making robot icons for themselves. This is Kiteman. So at any rate, this is the sort of thing people have been doing in our forums. Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, do you have any demographic, like gender, age, etc.?
That's actually kind of hard to get. So we have an age breakdown because we have to ask for age when people sign up. Right, and there's a big difference between the people who, for example, post all the time on the forums and the people who view and the people who contribute. You get an awful lot of contributions from people who are, I'm going to say, college age and shortly thereafter. And then you get another bubble from people who are sort of in the semi-retired age group. Aside from the K'NEX projects, which are largely teenage. However, we have a pretty broad demographic for viewing. We started out with tech projects, so we do kind of skew male, but we've got an awful lot of food projects. We're running a contest with Real Simple, which probably half of you don't even know what that is, but it's and Etsy. So we've got a lot of craft stuff and are getting a wider female audience. But it's really hard to estimate that sort of thing unless you specifically start asking, because everyone presumes I'm a teenage boy. if they look at the taxidermy. I get all of these comments about how, dude, if he keeps that on his refrigerator, he's never going to get a date. So it is kind of hard to tell, but we are expanding from our core competency, which is male tech geeks, into all of these other spaces. Anything else? Yes.
Do you have much of a problem with inappropriate content, and do you censor?
We've got a filter system set up, flag words, so we generally manage to pick it all up. It's a question of how much that's going to scale if we start getting, I see your shirt, YouTube clearly is going to have a little bit more of a, if we start getting up to that size, because we go through and catch everything, and then we'll filter the ones that we catch inappropriately. But we're trying to put in a decent flagging system and automate some of that. But so far, I guess the barrier to putting up a project keeps people from putting up things that are too inappropriate so far. We'll see where it goes from there. All right. Well, one of the other things I was going to do is just have these guys maybe talk about. Billy, you want to start off? Why do you put your stuff up? What does that do for you?
Well, I started posting a little over a year ago, and I found the website through a link in from Make magazine, and I saw all these really cool technical projects like Lady Ada's bicycle POVs and the Minty USB charger, and I'm like, hey, cool, I can post some of the things that I did, except I didn't know too much technical stuff. All I knew was fire at the time, so if you can show a couple of my earlier Instructables.
Yeah, hang on, keep talking.
So I started posting a lot of fire-related Instructables and things that interested me. And I noticed a large influx of those kinds of projects on the site shortly after I began posting, so I kind of feel like I've stolen the focus from those really cool technical projects that I saw in the beginning to a lot of different fire projects not always being the best ones. But that's not there.
Here we go.
Yeah,
some
you
of the
can
classics.
see my early on ones are mostly fire-centered. How to make fuse, how to build a torch, and do fire breathing. That's one of my favorite ones, just because of that picture I was able to get off of it.
While we're here.
Yeah, might as well.
Oh. Oh well.
So that's me in my backyard in Queens.
So far he hasn't set anything on fire at, well, that wasn't intended to be at Squid Labs. But I should pull up the Hobo Baku.
Yeah, that's another good one.
That's pretty good. Yeah, so Billy's kind of got a theme here.
Yeah.
Whoop, one more.
The LED floaties were cool. I actually got that from the, well, I saw the LED throwies and thought it'd be cool if I put them in a bunch of balloons filled up with helium. Unfortunately, the helium I had was really low quality, so they mostly just floated around on the ground. But
actually, I'm gonna go to those. So the LED throwies are sort of one of the early classic Instructables that a group in Graffiti Research Labs in New York put up. And it's just an LED, a rare earth magnet, and a battery just taped together. And then you've got light graffiti you can throw at any throw at any metal structure. And so that's kind of cool in the sense that it's, again, a very small kit of parts, and we've seen lots of variations. We've seen people do ones that blink, ones that talk.
Turn them into rats.
Yeah, that one I actually, because I had a mouse taxidermy, and then someone saw that and said, dude, you should totally combine it with LED throwies and make an LED throwy mouse. Once someone suggests it, you have to do it. But so I don't even know how many permutations we've got off of that first basic project. But again, it's a really low barrier to entry.
So this is at Tompkins Square Park in Manhattan. I was able to contact some people from another website, and they helped me set it up, and then I posted the Instructable on it. Yeah, that dog loved them.
But so what else do you spend your time on besides Instructables? We know you've got to spend a lot of time there.
I like to see what impact my projects have made on the rest of the intertubes, so I'll check out Dig every so often, see if my projects get up there. I'll just also go around looking for other projects that are really cool and people have documented, and see if they'd want to post them to Instructables, since we have lots of contests and things going on.
That's in your official capacity, though.
Yeah.
Actually, what's your homepage when you boot up?
Google.
Of course. Oh man, you guys are taking over the world. All right. Do you have any other questions for Billy or for Josh here?
Billy, Josh, if you were able to talk to the engineers of YouTube, what would be your one or two priorities to fix on the website up there?
That's a good question. I used to use YouTube mostly in my earlier videos because they had the browser-based uploader, and then Google Video had that, so I've started using Google Video a bit more. I don't know. I can't really think of anything off any business tips for you guys off the top of my head. Sorry.
All right. So YouTube's pretty awesome, but it's a little too awesome because you know how you have all those links to all the other videos that are also really awesome? So I end up spending about 3 hours every time I visit YouTube, wasting my time and not being able to spend it on Instructables. So if you could just kindly please take those down so I don't stay on YouTube, that would be awesome.
Well, one of the things he was saying earlier is that when he uploads a video, that doesn't happen because you don't have all those links available. And so at that point, he can upload and run. Just to let you know, in terms of keeping things sticky, you're missing an opportunity.
Yeah.
This is the Hobo Baku, which is exactly what you see, a shopping cart that Billy and this here is Trebuchet 03, one of our previous interns who had to go back. His school started a little bit earlier in Florida. And this is they took it in, went shopping at the Albertsons, right up the street in Alameda, and we're barbecuing in the parking lot, and the fire department came and had more fun than they've ever had, apparently. They offered them food, and I'm going to just show you one more of Billy's. So these, yeah. He made these for a party, and I'm not normally a late night person, so I think I had one of the 50 milligram caffeinated Jello shots, and then I think it was wired still at 2 a.m. because we went out dancing afterwards. Like, okay, let's go. I'm gonna drive you home. What do you? But these were fun. This is a good nerd toy too. Any more questions, either for me or these guys? Because I think we're coming to the end of our time here. All right, thanks a lot. I had fun.